The T-72 tank is a machine that's hard to mistake. Its low profile, thick armor, and powerful gun made it a true symbol of the Soviet era. It was developed in response to the challenges of the Cold War, designed not just to be powerful, but also mass-producible, reliable, and versatile. Since the early 1970s, the T-72 has taken part in dozens of armed conflicts around the world. It has rolled through the deserts of the Middle East, the hills of Yugoslavia, the sands of Africa, and the steppes of Ukraine. It was feared, respected, copied, and constantly upgraded. This is the story of more than just a combat vehicle. It's the story of an idea, of engineering, of armies, and of an era when this tank became something greater than just a weapon. The T-72 is a living legend of armored warfare. History and development. The history of one of the most recognizable tanks in the world, the T-72, began in the 1960s, during the period of Soviet military expansion under Leonid Brezhnev. It was a time when the USSR sought to strengthen its military presence across the globe, and armored forces played a key role in this strategy. It was during this era that the idea emerged to create a new main battle tank, not only technologically advanced but also suitable for mass production. The T-72 was a direct response to the challenges surrounding another Soviet tank, the T-64. While the T-64 was an advanced machine, its production was extremely expensive and technically complicated. Faced with the need for large-scale deployment, the military required a simpler yet equally effective combat vehicle. The solution was the T-72. The first prototype of the future tank was designated Object 172. It underwent a series of tests before being refined and modified into Object 172M, the vehicle we now know as the T-72. Serial production was launched at several factories, including the Eurovagonzavod in Nizhny Tagil, which later became the main producer, and the Malyshev factory in Kharkiv. From the early 1970s, the T-72 began to enter service with the Soviet Army en masse, and was soon exported to dozens of countries. It became the best-selling main battle tank of its time, of the second and third generations. According to estimates, around 30,000 T-72s were produced in total. Its global presence is impressive. Tanks of this model have served, and continue to serve. In many countries, the T-72 not only remains in active service but has undergone deep modernization to maintain combat relevance. Interestingly, despite the massive production numbers, today the Russian army has only about 13 operational T-72s in active service, with another 4,000 to 6,000 held in storage. This clearly shows how military priorities have shifted, and how even legendary machines gradually make way for newer technology. Nevertheless, the significance of the T-72 is hard to overstate. It became a symbol of an entire era, a time when armored divisions were seen as the cornerstone of global geopolitics. Its simple design, high survivability, relatively low cost, and powerful armament made the T-72 a true workhorse for dozens of armies around the world. Design and its features. The T-72 tank was officially adopted by the Red Army in 1971. Its design fully aligned with the traditional Soviet tank building doctrine: compactness, ease of maintenance, high mobility, and most importantly, mass production. That's why every aspect of the T-72's design aimed to reduce production complexity without sacrificing combat effectiveness. One of the tank's key features was its automatic loading system. This was a true breakthrough that significantly reduced the crew's size, from 3 people, as was typical in most Western tanks, to just 2 in the fighting compartment, the driver and the commander. The gunner's role remained, but the loader was eliminated. The system itself was a carousel-type autoloader, located in the lower part of the turret, beneath the fighting compartment floor. It housed 22 rounds, separated into projectiles and propellant charges, which were automatically fed into the gun. This enabled a firing rate of up to 8 rounds per minute, comparable to the performance of an experienced human loader, but without a drop in tempo due to crew fatigue. The advantages of this system were clear. Reduced overall weight of the tank due to a smaller crew and more compact fighting compartment. A lower profile turret, making the tank less visible and more resistant to hits. Increased crew survivability by removing a person from the dangerous loading area during firing. However, the system also had its drawbacks. The main one was the vulnerability of the ammunition, stored in the lower part of the turret. If the armor was penetrated, the likelihood of ammunition detonation was high, often leading to an explosion and total destruction of the vehicle. This phenomenon became known by the unofficial nickname, tank fireworks, especially seen during the conflicts in Chechnya and the Middle East. The autoloader became a hallmark of Soviet and later Russian tank design. It not only helped save resources and simplify production, but also laid the foundation for future models, such as the T-80 and T-90, where this principle is still used to this day. Armament and crew of the T-72 tank. The main armament of the T-72 tank is the 125mm smoothbore gun 2A46, which provides high firepower. The gun is equipped with an autoloader, which significantly increases the rate of fire and reduces the number of crew members required. Thanks to the autoloader, the crew can fire up to 8 rounds per minute, which is a serious advantage in combat conditions. The T-72 has a crew of 3. The driver is located at the front of the hull, while the commander and gunner are positioned in the turret. This crew arrangement improves coordination and allows for effective control of the combat vehicle, even in confined spaces and under intense combat conditions. Armor and protection of the T-72 tank represent crucial elements of its battlefield survivability. Designed in accordance with the requirements of the Cold War era and the expected confrontation with technologically advanced enemy forces. The core principle behind its design was to ensure relia. The frontal armor of the T-72 is known for its high durability and multi-layered structure, which allows it to effectively withstand most anti-tank weapons, particularly early-generation models. The construction incorporates composite materials and, starting from later variants, elements of explosive reactive armor, ERA, which significantly increase resistance to shape-charged munitions. Thanks to this approach, the T-72 is capable of surviving a direct hit from a 105mm armor-piercing shell used in NATO weaponry, underscoring the high level of its frontal protection. However, the side projections and underside of the tank remain vulnerable. The thickness of the side armor is significantly lower than that of the front, as it was initially assumed that most attacks would come from the front. This makes the tank susceptible to flanking strikes, particularly from modern man-portable anti-tank guided missile systems. The underside of the vehicle is also not designed to withstand powerful explosions from below, such as those caused by mines and improvised explosive devices, IEDs, posing a serious threat in asymmetric warfare environments. Thus, the armor of the T-72 was developed with a focus on protection in head-on combat, but is less effective against threats from other directions. The evolution of modern weaponry, especially with the widespread use of ATGMs, rocket-propelled grenades, and drones, demands additional protective measures for vehicles of this class, such as active protection systems and reinforced modular armor, which have been implemented in more modern upgrades based on the T-72 platform. Advantages and disadvantages. The T-72 tank, despite its widespread use and long service history, possesses a number of notable drawbacks stemming from both the technical limitations of its time and specific design features. One of the issues lies in the layout of the fighting compartment. The tank's crew space is cramped and uncomfortable, especially during prolonged operations. This reduces ergonomics and increases crew fatigue, which can negatively affect combat performance. The power plant is another point of criticism. The installed V46 diesel engine, producing around 780 horsepower, does not provide sufficient mobility for the tank under modern combat conditions. This is particularly evident on rough terrain, and when there is a need to quickly reposition. Furthermore, the engine is not highly reliable under intense use and does not offer enough power reserve for installing additional equipment or armor. Another weak point of the T-72 is its fire control system, especially in early variants. Firing accuracy suffers due to outdated optics, a lack of modern stabilizers, and limited aiming capabilities while on the move. This is especially problematic when facing more advanced tanks equipped with high-tech targeting systems and thermal imaging. The autoloader, one of the T-72's distinctive features, has both advantages and vulnerabilities. On one hand, it allows for a reduced crew of 3 and a more compact tank design. On the other, it poses serious risks. The autoloader's design involves storing ammunition inside the crew compartment on a rotating carousel mechanism, which, in the event of armor penetration, often leads to the detonation of the ammunition and the complete destruction of the tank. This characteristic has gained unfortunate notoriety, and is a major reason for the T-72's high vulnerability to side hits. Over time, and in response to evolving battlefield requirements, the T-72 has undergone numerous upgrades. Some of these include the installation of new engines, improved fire control systems, reactive and modular armor, as well as active protection systems. These upgrades have enhanced the tank's combat capability, improving its accuracy, protection, and mobility. Nevertheless, even the most modern versions have not fully eliminated the original design flaws, especially those related to internal ammunition storage and the overall level of protection. The T-72 tank possesses a number of advantages and features that have ensured its widespread use and long service life in the armed forces of many countries. One of the key strengths of the vehicle is its high mobility. The T-72 demonstrates good speed and maneuverability across various types of terrain. It is capable of reaching speeds up to 60 km per hour on highways, making it quite fast for a vehicle of its class. This agility is especially important in modern combat conditions, where a tank must not only deliver strikes but also quickly change positions, avoid return fire, and respond to a constantly changing battlefield environment. Another important feature of the T-72 is the presence of a system for protection against weapons of mass destruction. From the outset, the tank was equipped with a nuclear, biological, and chemical protection system, which enables the crew to survive and continue carrying out combat missions in the event of nuclear, biological, or chemical weapon use. The system hermetically seals the interior, filters the air, and maintains positive pressure to prevent the penetration of harmful agents. This provides the tank with additional resilience when operating in areas contaminated by radioactive or chemical substances, which is particularly relevant in total war scenarios or in cases where prohibited types of weapons are used. The combination of high mobility and protection against weapons of mass destruction makes the T-72 a versatile combat vehicle capable of operating effectively in a wide range of conditions, from maneuver warfare on open plains to operations in high-threat environments. These qualities have played a significant role in its successful service over decades and have secured its status as one of the most recognizable and widely produced tanks in the world. Modifications and armament of the T-72. During its service life, The T-72 underwent numerous improvements and modifications aimed at enhancing its combat capabilities and survivability. This tank was designed with the necessity of effectively engaging various types of targets on the battlefield in mind, which is reflected in the variety of ammunition used to arm the vehicle. The early versions of the T-72 were equipped with an optical rangefinder that allowed the gunner to determine the distance to the target and aim with a certain degree of accuracy. However, with the advancement of technology and increasing demands for combat effectiveness, there arose a need for more precise and reliable targeting systems. The T-72A model was fitted with a laser rangefinder, which significantly improved firing accuracy. Along with it came an electronic fire control system that automated the aiming process, enabled faster responses to changing battlefield conditions, and increased the likelihood of successfully hitting targets. Additionally, tank protection became a crucial part of the modernization. The armor on the early models provided sufficient defense against shells and anti-tank weapons. But as more powerful armaments appeared on the battlefield, enhanced protection was necessary. The T-72M modifications, nicknamed Warsaw, received reinforced armor, which increased the survivability of both the crew and the vehicle when struck by anti-tank rounds. Later, the T-72G model introduced reactive armor, an additional layer of active protection that effectively reduced the impact of shaped charge and armor-piercing munitions. Thus, the development of the T-72 progressed along the path of improving firing accuracy and enhancing protection. Popularity and cost of the T-72. The T-72 is one of the most mass-produced and widely used main battle tanks in the world, thanks to its combination of high combat effectiveness, affordable cost, and upgrade potential. It gained popularity not only among former Soviet armies but also many countries worldwide, especially those with limited defense budgets needing reliable armored vehicles. A key reason for its popularity is the relatively low price, around $500,000, much less than modern Western tanks. This affordability makes the T-72 attractive to developing countries aiming to strengthen their forces without excessive costs. As a result, it's widely purchased in Africa, Latin America, and the Middle East, including Ethiopia, Angola, Sudan, South Sudan, and Venezuela, where it plays a crucial role in their armored fleets. Besides cost, the T-72's adaptability for modernization helps it stay relevant. Over decades, new technologies and systems have been introduced, allowing gradual upgrades without buying new tanks. Even countries with advanced military industries, like the US and Israel, have helped modernize T-72s in Iraq and elsewhere, showing its recognized importance. Iran was one of the last licensed producers until 2012, and the tank still holds a key role in its armed forces and other regions, proving its durability. Modern conflicts, including the war in Ukraine, demonstrate the T-72's continued effectiveness due to its reliability, ease of use, and upgrade options. Conclusion. The T-72 holds a significant place in the history of tank building and is considered one of the most mass-produced and successful main battle tank models of its time. This tank was developed in the Soviet Union during a period when the primary task was to counter enemy armored vehicles equipped with 105mm guns, which were the standard for many armies worldwide. In this context, the T-72 became a powerful response, combining high firepower, reliable armor protection, and relatively low production costs. However, with the advancement of technology and the emergence of new generations of combat vehicles, the situation changed. In particular, the introduction of tanks with more powerful 120mm guns by Western armies significantly increased the demands for armor protection and firepower. Under these conditions, the original concept of the T-72 became less relevant, as its armament and protection were designed to counter older tank models. Despite this, the T-72 did not lose its significance entirely. Its design proved flexible enough to undergo numerous upgrades and adapt to new combat conditions. Today, the T-72 can be considered an important stage in the development of armored vehicles, symbolizing the transition from earlier generation tanks to modern combat machines with improved capabilities. Its role in military history is hard to overestimate. It has served and continues to serve as the backbone of armored forces in many countries, demonstrating high reliability, versatility, and adaptability.